All right, welcome back, kings and queens, y'all. We are talking Diddy once again. I got a couple of updates that I just want to kind of weave into my commentary, so we're going to get into it. Number one, Cassie Ventura's mom took the stand today. And when I tell you, man, there is just so much to this, but we're going to go over that briefly. So we're going to talk about her mom and how Diddy demanded that she wire him money, y'all. He extorted $20,000 from her. We're going to talk about that really quickly. And then I want to talk about an exotic male dancer that took this stand, and he's known by the name The Punisher. And he's going to recant and recall his first night with Diddy and Cassie. And when I tell y'all, listen, it's a hot ass mess as we're thinking about this trial. So, welcome. I'm going to jump into it. But really quick before I do, I know some of you are new here and you really don't understand my style. And some of you have said you are biased. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm biased. I'm definitely biased. One day I may have a strong opinion on something. Tomorrow I may have a strong opinion on the other thing. I can tackle this thing anyway. So, yeah, I can be real biased, but I just want to get that out there. That's no secret, but welcome. For those of you who are just tuned in, or if you're new to the channel, welcome to the palace. I am Queen Sheba. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television, but most importantly, I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience.
Subscribe now.
Yeah, so it seems like Diddy felt some kind of way, y'all, when, after everything happened between he and Cassie. And at one point, when they were on the outs, okay, he contacted her mother and he was like, look, this is just me paraphrasing. You gonna run me my money. I need to recoup my investment. I'm sorry. I need to recoup my investment. And you gonna run me 20K. And that's exactly what happened. And she recanted what happened on today on the stand, May 20th. And the reason why I'm saying May 20th, because some of you may not see this video until later. So according to TMZ, Regina Ventura, who's Cassie's mother, she appeared in a Manhattan courtroom today, Tuesday, to testify in Diddy's federal sex trafficking and racketeering trial in New York City, and she revealed some shocking details about her daughter's relationship with the incarcerated defendant. At this point, there's not too much that's going to shock me. There's not too much. Yes, it is. But I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I don't want to put that out there. Let's continue. On the stand, Regina confirmed her daughter dated Sean Diddy Combs after the singer had signed with Bad Boy Records. She recalls meeting Diddy in 2006 and says her daughter and Diddy started dating, then moved to Los Angeles. Let's be clear. I have to be fair because it's almost like we have skipped a great portion of Cassie's life, but I have to be fair. Diddy is not the first person in the rap or music industry that Cassie had dated. I think it's so important. I think we are forgetting that. Why is that important? It's important because it's important. I don't want to make it seem like he snatched her from her home and he was her first experience as it relates to just dating a man. That's not true. I have to be fair. If I leave that out, it's almost like I'm being dishonest, okay? So let's continue. Prosecution asked Regina to read a December 2011 message to her from her daughter. Regina related Cassie informed her Diddy had threatened to release a sex tape and intended to go after Cassie and Kid Cudi, who Cassie began seeing during a break in her relationship with Diddy. Now, let me pause here and just insert some things to get you to thinking. I know people are saying, listen, there was no way out for Cassie. But here's the thing. And here's what I feel like the defense is leaning on, but it's also a fact. They have breaks in this relationship. And throughout the breaks, Cassie did date other men. Cassie dated other men, y'all. So the defense could possibly say if you were so afraid for your life, if you were so afraid, this is not me, I'm just saying, if you were so afraid, why did you move forward anyway with dating other men? If you feared that you were in that kind of danger, why would you even take the chance to date somebody? Does it make sense? Um, well, I'm gonna say you can date who you want to date, but I think it makes sense for them to base that off of her argument. I stayed because I was afraid of him. But would not also ring true with dating? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. So let's continue. That Cassie did date other men, okay? Regina said Diddy demanded $20,000 from her and her husband in order to recoup money he invested in Cassie's career. She said she and her husband took out a home equity loan to cover the amount. She, asked why she had taken out the loan. Regina answered, "For the safety of my daughter." Now, here's my thing, and I'm just going to insert myself in here. How come your husband didn't call? How come your husband, I'm being facetious, I'm playing devil's advocate, didn't call up his boys and whoop Diddy's ass? I don't know. I'm just thinking, was everybody afraid of this man, including your husband? Okay. Regina said Diddy's bookkeeper sent her information with wire transfer instructions. Regina went to a credit union and wired the money to Bad Boy Records account. She testified that about 5 days later, the money reappeared in her account with no further communication from Diddy or the company. Okay. So he took the money. He's smart, sharp, and then sent it back. Wow. Wow. Okay. I have so many thoughts. Let's continue. Regina confirmed photos shown in court in a binder were those she had taken of her daughter's bruises from Diddy. Regina also told the jury about a time when she visited her daughter in LA. There was an argument between Cassie and Diddy, and she says Diddy stole Cassie's phone. I think I remember this being in the news or in the blogs. Things got heated on the street, and he gave back the phone, and then he took off in Cassie's Jaguar. The defense had no cross-examination questions for Regina Ventura, and the prosecutors moved on to their next witness. You know what? I think that was a smart move on the behalf of the of the defense team, because it would have looked very, very lowbrow, low vibrational for you to be badgering up the witness who is somebody's mom. Okay, now let me get into the exotic male dancer who's known as the Punisher. Pardon me, I'm sorry. I'm about to laugh. So the Punisher took the stand and recalled the first night, oh my God, his first night with Diddy and Cassie. And baby, we're talking baby oil, Astroglide, and wigs, okay? So his real name is Sheree Harris. And of course, my site, I'm citing my source as TMZ. Sheree Hayes, an exotic male dancer known as the Punisher, is testifying for the prosecution in the Diddy trial. And he told the jury about the first encounter that he had. Listen, y'all, this is hilarious. He talked about the first encounter he had with Diddy and Cassie, saying that the couple hired him to create a sexy, erotic scene for them. This is what, listen, look at this. Look, this is it right here. Now, y'all, you remember I told you about snuff films, snuff underground world? This is how a lot of the men are dressed. I know this is an exotic adornment, but this is how some of the men in the snuff videos are dressed. Let's continue. Hayes says he was first hired in 2012 when a woman called and booked him for a midnight gig at the Trump International Hotel in New York City. He says he was hired to perform a striptease for a group of people, but when he got to the room, he says it was just Cassie in a bathrobe and a wig. He told the jury Cassie told him that she and Diddy, neither of whom he recognized at the time, didn't want him to dance and instead wanted him to create a sexual scene with baby oil. Now, that's kind of misleading. That's very misleading, right? Because here's the thing. If you thought you were coming to perform as a stripper and just kind of entertain a group of people, and then on site you find out they want a little bit more, let's pause. Here's your way out. Here's your way to escape temptation, but he didn't do that. Hayes goes on to say the room was dimly lit with bottles of baby oil on deck, and Cassie told him they would apply the baby oil, and Diddy would eventually come out to watch, warning him not to acknowledge Diddy when he appeared. Hayes says Cassie then handed him $800. This is where it gets funny for me, right? So she handed him his money up front. Listen, now, right, wrong, or indifferent, I know what we're talking about, but we're going to add a little bit of humor. I can appreciate my money up front. Give me my shit right now. Give me my money up front. So he got his money up front, $800, right? He testified he stripped down to a towel and he followed Cassie's lead and mimicked what she did, pouring baby oil on himself until he says Diddy entered the room. with the bottle of Astroglide lubricant in hand. Now, I find it ironic that everybody's talking about this man walking into the room with Astroglide, but then the story stops after that. You know what I'm saying? The story stops after that, and nobody's saying what was done with the Astroglide. Now, of course, we can use our imaginations, but is it me or is that missing from the transcripts in the court case? It could be me. He told the jury Diddy would give Cassie subtle directions, namely lighting adjustments and body positioning. And then Diddy and Cassie eventually went off by themselves into another room. Okay. He says Cassie later came back and asked if he wanted to finish, but he says, hell no. He declined. And then Cassie gave him an additional $1,200. So it seems like in the setting, he received $2,000. Let's continue. But shoot, I don't blame the Punisher. He said, nah, I'm cool. Let's continue. Hayes said he was hired about 8 to 12 times. He didn't recognize Cassie and Diddy at first because Cassie had a wig and Diddy, y'all. Now, here's the thing, sir. At this point, you came back for more. You enjoyed it. You came back for more, at least 8 to 12 times. He said he didn't initially recognize Cassie and Diddy during the first few encounters because Cassie had on a wig, y'all. And he said Diddy wore a head covering that only exposed his eyes. He said on a subsequent encounter, he came into the hotel suite and noticed a message displayed on a TV. The Essex House would like to welcome Mr. Sean Combs. And that's how he knew it was Diddy. That's how he knew it was Diddy. He testified he was a fan of Diddy's and followed the mogul on social media. And after seeing the TV message, he recognized Cassie from Instagram photos with Diddy, and it all started coming together for him. He said in that moment, it all clicked. He testified the encounters would last for hours. But sometimes, y'all, he couldn't get it up. He couldn't get it up. There were times he had a hard time performing, and he called it performance issues. He said he would sometimes run into performance issues. He said Cassie and Diddy would offer him drugs and marijuana, then added, I am not a weed smoker, but I did pull a Bill Clinton. I was handed a joint. Now, hold on. He pulled a Bill Clinton. I think I know what he's talking about, but elaborate for me in the most beautiful way in the chat without being too detailed or too descriptive. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Well, my male dogs seem to have a problem. When I got to performance issues, my dogs went crazy. But listen. Now, according to TMZ, these are TMZ's words right here, what I'm about to read. Quote, what's puzzling is how any of this testimony relates to the federal charges Diddy is facing. Diddy's pled not guilty to 2 counts of sex trafficking, 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, and 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, unquote. Hayes' erotic dancing and his large endowment are featured on YouTube videos. So they're saying, listen, he's the Action Jackson. He's packing down there. That's basically what they're saying. Plus, he's pretty active on Instagram and even wrote a book about erectile dysfunction and penis implants. Now, if you know you can't get it up, why in the hell are you answering ads, sir? That's embarrassing yourself. If you know you can't get it up, let me be quiet. And listen, and I guess the name of the book is called In Search of Freezer Meat. And he said there's a few pages about Cassie and Diddy, though they are only referred to as a married wealthy couple. Worth noting, he told the jury he got his Punisher nickname playing basketball at West 4th, y'all, this is all silly, West 4th Street Courts in New York City, one of the most famous basketball street destinations around the world. So that I brought you pretty much up to speed with what's happening. That's related to today's trial. It's still ongoing. If there's something that I feel like is a standout that could be interesting, I will talk about it. If not, we're going to let it ride, okay?